Oh no. You guys are gonna make me talk about myself again? No long introductions this time. We'll get right into it. Here's the bingo book page for yours truly. My name is... Agni Hatch. Age 18. Zodiac Aries. March 25th, 2543. Blood type O negative. I suppose it's time for more of my story. Well, I come from the year 2561 from the Mad Islands in the Alexander Archipelago near Canada. MAD is actually an acronym. It stands for Myflora, Arblum, and Daitonhua, which are three monarchies that now inhabit those islands. Bree and I both attend Myflora Academy, the absolute most prestigious school on the island that focuses on a Montessori style of education. What does that all mean? Montessori is an educational philosophy and practice that fosters rigorous, self-motivated growth for children and adolescents in all areas of their development, with the goal for nurturing each child's natural desire for knowledge, understanding, and respect. And basically, it's teaching based on individual need and equity rather than just following a strict curriculum. For me, my main focus has been art, public speaking, personal wellness, history, and mythology, or religion. I also attend a magic class with my friend Bruce and my sister Silva. I am actually the youngest with several older siblings who've just about all gone and made their own families. Me, I'm not really into that sort of thing. I mean, I guess I kinda like Lias, but he's just a bit too pervy, and since I'm asexual, that means we clash a lot in relationships. Oh, right, I mentioned that briefly back in June, but I didn't get a lot of time to explain it. Basically, asexual people don't experience sexual attraction, or they experience it in varying levels. Some may be intimate with a partner, or they may never. Asexuality is a spectrum, and maybe I'll get into a full dive on that later. And Bree and I have known each other since birth. Our parents are both pretty influential in our country. My mom's a highly respected spiritual persona, and my dad, well, he was once the king. I am not a princess. I want to make that clear. Sure, a couple of my friends might jokingly call me Flame Princess, but my actual title would amount to Lady of the Court. See, even though my dad was king, he was married to the queendom, and in Mayflora, our monarchs are selected per generation. Currently, it's actually my half-brother Luke who's in charge. Me, I just spend my time drawing, coloring, or reading. I play a few games here and there, especially the old ones, and Andrew helps me get these videos into the past for you guys. It might seem a little confusing or grandiose, but it's actually a lot simpler in practice. And according to my parents, I found my ability to cast magic before I could even form whole words, and that's part of the reason I grew up with such a tenuous control of my powers. They go off at random times, or when I get too emotional. I think an example most of you might be able to follow is if I compared it to wild magic. Yeah, sure, that's a good way of looking at it. I'm a wild magic pyromancer with a deep one bloodline. And I emphasize pyromancer because that's the only kind of magic I can cast. They've tried testing me for other elements, divination, transmutation. Nope, just fire evocations. Oh well, not everybody can be an awesome wizard or something. Since I'm not allowed to show off any real pictures of myself, something about a world order, I guess the closest representation I could come up with would probably be Jenna Ortega. You know, she's been in that Wednesday Addams show. And how come my outfit looks so different? Well, this works as a concept from a new style, which I'll be changing into later this year. I kept the color scheme the same, but I feel like it's an upgrade to a more comfy style that fits right between my two modes, flashy and stylish, or loose and leisurely. One thing I keep constant, though, are small details. There's a theme that links my makeup, necklace, and other accessories, and that's this green adventurine that's actually my birthstone. Adventurine is a form of quartz, which is characterized by its translucency and presence of platy material inclusions that give it a shimmering or glistening effect termed adventurescence. Nope, I'm not kidding. But I am not a gem expert. Actually, it was Silva who helped me find most of this information. Now, she's a geomancer. Anyway, adventurescence is the way certain quartz stones reflect light. The effect amounts to a metallic glitter that's found in the sort of striations in certain gems. A lot of these can actually affect the gem's color overall. For instance, my green aventurine is because the metal that's present is actually chrome, where, in contrast, iron in quartz would produce a red like goldstone. Yes, goldstone is red. That makes sense. Because geology. Speaking of which, the term adventurine comes from Italian's avventura, meaning by chance. This is an allusion to the discovery of goldstone at some point in the 18th century, which was total RNG. Aventurine may also come in orange, brown, yellow, blue, or gray, but green is actually the most common, and is believed to hold energies that can reduce stress and boost creativity. It certainly works well in the future, but it's understandable if people further back in the timeline can't access these types of magic. Hopefully, you'll discover that power yourselves one day, because honestly, casting magic is so cool. And my Unalome is one of the things that helps me cast. I know you can't see it in this picture, but I mentioned it before in my last project, and here's a little more on the detailed description. The Unalome is a Buddhist and Hindu symbol that represents a path to freedom. The sign consists of 3 parts: the spiral, the swirl, and the dots at the end. These symbols are meant to be read from top to bottom, spiral to dots. The spiral represents direction. For instance, is your life going up or down? Your thoughts don't have an off button. With bumps, potholes, detours, and unexpected encounters, you become more and more aware. The spiral represents the state before you spiritually awaken. After the spiral comes the swirl, which gets smaller and smaller and turns into a straight line. When you are aware of your thoughts, you become introverted. You have more focus and clarity. The road is less winding. When you get out of the swirl, you suddenly see everything very clearly, like a straight line. The road is pure, and that's where you're free to reach enlightenment, your end goal. And so there you are, a beautiful doodle with an even more beautiful meaning. It's become a useful meditation tool for me. The spell represents the hottest part of the flame, which is the bottom, I know, but the closer to the ends of the fire you get, the cooler part, or the better you are able to control the temperature of your burn. Think about it this way. Have you ever been roasting marshmallows? What's the best way to cook them without just lighting them on fire? If you stick it straight into the blaze, it's going to ignite all that sugar, which is definitely awesome and tastes great, but its far safer way is to let it roast toward the top of the flame. Plus, it takes patience to get the job done, and patience is actually the most important aspect when working with fire magic. And now, since I have an Unalome, that must mean I practice Hinduism, right? Well, yeah, according to my family tradition, my mother meditates on Om, and that's what I was taught. As a meditation practice, Om serves as a sonic representation of the divine. The symbol for Om is often found at the beginning and end of chapters in the Vedas, Upanishads, and other Hindu texts. Om emerged in the Vedic corpus, about a large body of religious texts originating in ancient India, composed in Vedic Sanskrit. The texts consist of the oldest layer of Sanskrit literature and the oldest scriptures of Hinduism. How old exactly? about 1,500 years before Common Era, so about 2,000 years before the Christian Bible. It's got over 29,000 verses, and serves as an encapsulated form of some Vedic chants or songs. So basically it's a form of intoning that Christians might compare to hymns. The symbol for Om is also referred to as Ankara, Pranava, and among other names. Speaking of names, what's mine mean? Well, first, Agni Deva is the personification of fire in Hinduism. This being is a two-faced god riding a ram. Since Aries is also symbolized by a ram, my dad thought the name was just really perfect. In Sanskrit, Agni is a girl's name and it simply means fire or flame. And fire is actually a really important element for life in Hinduism, as a belief that without fire burning within us, there is no life. It's considered both life giver and life taker, as if the fire burns too hot, it might just end you. Now, have you guys noticed the star in my outfit yet? It's right up there in my neckline, along the edge of my shirt and jacket. Stars by far are the largest source of fire in the universe, with varying colors that can tell you just how hot and how big it is. For instance, our sun, called Sol, is actually a really small star, but is still much larger in comparison to our closest neighbor, Proxima Centauri, a red dwarf star about 4.2 light-years away in the constellation of Sagittarius. But the further you get from the solar system, the bigger and hotter stars get, like Rigel, a blue supergiant star in the Orion constellation. Rigel is 79 times bigger than our sun, and compared to the temperature of 6,000 Kelvin, the blue star is 4 times hotter at 25,000 Kelvin. That's 24,727 degrees Celsius, or 44,540 degrees Fahrenheit. So hella hot. You know, it's always kind of interesting to me that we associate so many colors like red, blue, orange with fire. When the hotter fire gets, it starts turning up whites, blues, and purples. I wonder what do you guys think? You could get away with that kind of color scheme? Curious. Let me see here a minute. Nah. One looks like water, the other one looks like air, but I do think adjusting the rotation of the colors from my older outfit helped improve things quite a bit, actually. That's what was missing. Well, that's a small crash course in color theory for you. Color theory? That's the study of how colors work together and how they affect our emotions and perceptions. For instance, what was your perception the first time you saw me? Does it match up what you think now? Leave a comment down below. No judgment. But did you know that color theory goes way back in history? Like Greek and Rome old. All those old stone statues and murals? They used to be painted, but years of exposure have worn away all the color that was used. And some restoration efforts are actually trying to seek to restore color to those lost by time. Now, the most recognizable aspect of color theory is the color wheel, which visually displays relationships between art's primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. While the color wheel dates back to Sir Isaac Newton in 1666, Swiss painter Johannes Itten further developed it and expanded upon the concept after researching the writings of German art theorist and philosopher Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Color schemes, on the other hand, use the color wheel to decide which colors to use. There are a variety of different color schemes, with each one conveying a feeling and sentiment. Some of the most popular color schemes are monochromatic, analogous, complementary, split complementary, and triadic. Chromatic color schemes are formed using various tones and shades of a single color. Think of Edna and her black dress. Even white can be considered a shade of black, since black and white are what control the hues of different colors. Analogous color schemes are formed of 3 colors that are located next to each other on the color wheel. Take my usual outfit, for instance. Red, yellow, and orange are all right next to each other. Analogous color palettes are used when no contrast is needed. usually draw a person's attention to a focal point, like the green lipstick and nails for instance. And that's because green and red are complementary colors. A complementary color palette is comprised of colors that are placed in front of, or you could say across from each other, in the color wheel. This is actually the opposite of monochrome analogous palettes, and they aim to produce a contrast. You could split the complementary colors in order to do this. Take blue for instance, and then just take two colors that are on either side of whatever color is right across from that color wheel. In that case, yellow and red. Triadic colors are just what it sounds like, a triad. This is based on three separate colors, usually one as a dominant shade and two others as accents. You could use red, blue, and green, like Martin, Madeline, and Shane. And they may all share some spotlight on who is the main character exactly, but they work so well together that as long as the other two are there, it's complementary. Commonly used by more experienced designers, the tetradic color scheme employs two sets of complementary pairs, 4 colors from the color wheel. In total, they should form a rectangle when connected. While it's a little harder to balance, it makes for a visually stunning effect. So obviously, I use a bit of an analogous complementary scheme myself. The primary color is red, and opposite is this specific shade of green that matches my birthstone. The orange and yellow go with red because I really like announcing my presence as a pyromancer. Plus, since my mom is pretty big in town, as one of the most powerful fighters around, it makes me recognizable instantly. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this. And don't be surprised you end up seeing this model eventually. Now I gotta go work with Bree in order to get her page of the bingo book done. You've already seen the art, but I'm also going to do one of these for her, for Andrew, for everyone eventually. If you don't want to miss those, like, subscribe, and ring my bell for more updates and notifications. I'm here every week, so look for me on Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific. As always, Shalakov has provided the lines for this project, and his business is down in the description, right next to our Patreon link. Patreon is the best way to support this channel. Not only are you supporting us, then we turn around and change that money into great art, music, voiceovers, comics, maybe even merch like shirts, hats, or plushies one day. But you'll get access to Tales of Atonement coloring pages, the Monomyth comic book, and even the unpublished scripts so that you can read the story way ahead of time. Check the link if you want to look into that. Some of our great patrons include Shadow Fox, Arya Gamari, Charles Tam, Jace Morland, and Lender Lumen. Thanks for watching, everyone.